Welcome back to another episode of Fast Casual Nation. My name is Paul Barron, and of course, as you guys know, Fast Casual Nation is a podcast that has really become kind of a global experience. We've had experts and brand leaders from around the world on this show, and we were going to continue that tradition. Today, I've got with me a gentleman by the name of Klaus Wittrup, who is the founder of a company called Gasoline Grill. They're out of Copenhagen, Denmark. Great to have you on the show, Klaus.
So happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a long-time listener of the show, so I'm happy to
Excellent.
be on. Yeah.
We get a ton of European listeners and viewers. I'm surprised actually at the amount that we get. The UK is a very popular market for us on this show, so it's interesting. I think fast casual, when we talk about it here in the States, in reality, Europe had been practicing fast casual probably for about 2 decades before we really got into fast casual here in the United States. So it's always funny to kind of understand the history and lineage of that. Let's get into Gasoline Grill and a little bit about your brand and concept. Tell me what you guys are all about.
Okay, so we are we call it a mini chain of burgers here in Copenhagen. We opened up in 2016 at a really small gas station in the center of Copenhagen. We only have around 100 square feet, so very small. Yeah, and that is everything we have. So there's not a back kitchen or anything like that. We prepare our burgers every day. We grind the meat in-house every day, and since the location is such a small location, we actually started out by making 100 burgers every day, and then we closed when we were sold out.
Okay.
And it wasn't really thought as a marketing gimmick, but it worked out really well. People really loved the idea. Now, of course, we're making more than 100 burgers every day, but we're still sold out every day. So we don't have opening, and we have opening hours, but we don't have closing hours. So we close every day when we're sold out at all locations. And now we have 6 locations in Copenhagen, mostly in the center of town, and we are looking at all kinds of different footprints to figure out what works for us as we build out.
Yeah, when I was researching your brand, that was what I found intriguing, was the story, because if you look at what's happening around the world, really, in terms of fast casual and the footprint designs that are needed going forward, the smaller footprints without the in-restaurant dining, or at least limited in-restaurant dining, is becoming kind of very in vogue here. With 100 square feet, you started a brand. You basically made 100 burgers. You sold them till you were out of them, and that's kind of it. I think the scarcity idea behind that is actually pretty brilliant. So kudos to what you were doing there.
Thank you. It was by luck, more or less, but
Well, hey, scarcity
really
is. Yeah, and scarcity can create a brand. If you look at someone like Human Made, Nigo, what he's doing in Japan, that is a good example of creating scarcity in fast fashion. But he's become an icon in the fashion industry, and it's kind of interesting. I'd love to see more brands here in the U.S. take that approach, but that's definitely not the track that they're onto. How fast did it take you guys to get to 6 units?
Last year we opened 2 units, and then that's when we got to 6. So we have been opening almost 2 every year. The thing is that we were super busy in the beginning, and then we got ready for winter. And as you can see on the picture behind you, that is our first location. You see we have a line out the door, and we don't have any weather protection or anything. So we were ready for a winter that was gonna be super slow. But then we were on the list of 27 best burgers in the world by Bloomberg magazine.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and that really just changed everything for us, so that our winter became like our summer. And we actually had 2 locations in pipeline that we were going to open that year, but we actually only opened one of them, and the other one we let go because we were just too busy. So pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, well, the fact that you're growing that fast as a small brand, incubator brands here in the U.S., brands under 10 units, it's very difficult for them in many cases to go from 1 just to 2 is a feat. A lot of people don't realize just how hard that is. when
No.
you're starting a business, especially in the fast casual and restaurant segment. I want to talk to you, Klaus, a little bit about the concept, because Denmark, a bit of a different environment from a consumer standpoint. How does a fast casual restaurant or a concept that's limited service like what you guys are doing, how do you guys fare in the market there? Do you hold your own against some of the more fast food oriented concepts, or are you finding that your customer is actually coming down maybe from more casual dining or general sit down dining?
I think here in Copenhagen, we have been like a gastronomy capital of the world from having Noma here,
Right.
which was like the best restaurant in the
Best
world.
restaurant in the world. Yep.
Yeah. So that has really built up like a ground of a lot of different restaurants, really good restaurants and great concepts. So when I opened up in 2016, it was right in the middle of something that's called the Copenhagen Burger War, because there are so many burger places here in Copenhagen, and everybody I was talking to, they were like, okay, that's the worst idea ever. But we actually came with something different, and we have gotten a foothold. And when we look at towards like QSRs, like McDonald's, so they are struggling a little bit in Copenhagen, I think. But they are also changing now to become more. They are introducing more quality items in their menu here, because the burger scene more or less has been taken over by small players like myself. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, the track record of the better burger category basically is that story around the world. I've seen it down in Brazil, Australia, obviously in Europe, and even here in the UK. When you look at kind of the track record of how Shake Shack and Danny Meyer got going, you know, he was essentially going head to head with some of the biggest guys out there, and look at where they are now. So
we haven't got any of the big ones yet, like Shake Shack or Five Guys. And I think maybe they're looking at Denmark and thinking that it's too small of a market for them. We are only 5 million people here in Denmark, and Copenhagen is 500,000 or something like that. Maybe 1 million if you count all the suburbs. So I think they look at Denmark as a too small market, and I'm happy for that. So
stay out.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully, Randy over at Shake Shack is not watching this right now.
Of course, Shake Shack is a big inspiration for me, and I also know some of the people at Shake Shack. So it's.
Great team. Definitely have done some amazing things at what they're doing. Hey, listen, we need a Shake Shack of Europe. You could be that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm hoping.
Are you looking at expanding beyond Denmark anytime soon? What is the environment like there in the EU to be able to move businesses around?
Yeah, I mean, before COVID, we were looking at opening up our first international location actually maybe this year. I'm hoping it will be possible for us to do that next year. We are looking. Denmark is such a small country, but we are only interested in opening up in Copenhagen. We're not looking at some of the other cities in Denmark. So from Copenhagen, the next step for us will be to open up internationally. So that's what we're looking at. And you know, I'm looking at European companies, but countries. I'm also looking at like farther away. I'm looking also at Japan and the US. I would really love to open up in the US.
Yeah, interesting. All right, so let's get, I think first of all, you know, the expansion of fast casual is becoming a global theme around, you know, I'm talking to more and more operators from overseas, the Middle East, obviously Western Europe, and a lot is happening down in Australia right now as well in the fast casual category. A lot of new brands being developed. I want to kind of talk to you about two things before we get into kind of some of the things that are trending here in the U.S. and would they work in Europe. But that is going back to kind of the crisis, the global crisis. I won't use the word, so YouTube hopefully doesn't pick that up.
But sorry.
That's okay. So how and what did you guys have to do with shutdowns there in Denmark?
On day one here in Denmark, that was in the beginning of March, I actually shut down all locations except our original one at the gas station because people just stayed away,
Yeah.
And then, but then quite quickly after, people were back on the streets, and then we started opening up locations again. So I think we started opening up again after 9 days or something like that.
9 days. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you had a fairly short shutdown. Were
But
there
then
regulations that required you to stay closed, or were you kind of just doing that on your own?
Yeah, not for us, because we are mainly a takeaway. I mean, our two newest locations are also our biggest locations, and in those locations we were testing whether we could have a lot of seating guests inside. So
Right.
that was not very good with this global crisis. But no, there weren't real restrictions for takeaway, but we just wanted to make sure that we could keep people safe, our guests safe, and our staff safe. And some of our locations didn't have the right flow to do takeaway, because yes, we are a takeaway shop, but we have never been on third-party delivery, or we have never been been taking pre-orders and stuff like that. We have always had people come down and stand in line. So we had
Right.
to change that whole thing for Gasoline Grill.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's something that we're starting to see here in the U.S. now. The trends have just started to come kind of into the lane of where takeaway and people picking up their own food is actually kind of somewhat in vogue. They're moving away from third-party delivery. We saw this in some data we just went to. In Europe, do you feel like third-party is a tool that you guys are using more as a marketing tool, just to kind of get the name out there in the marketplaces, and then trying to get the customer back to you on a direct takeout version?
I know some of our colleagues have done that. They have actually put flyers in the takeaway bags
bag.
with the third party, to go order on our app instead. I don't have a lot of experience with third party because we have never done it.
Interesting. Even still to today, no third party.
No.
Wow. So you're all direct takeout. That's great. Well,
welcome.
And congratulations to you.
Thank you. No, we want to build that ability within our company, and I mean the pizza guys have been able to do it, and we want to do it ourselves. So we have our own delivery, and we have our own delivery app, and we hope to build that because we want to own the whole relationship with the guest, and we want to own the whole experience, and also we want to own the guest. When you have a third party, it's the third party's customer.
No doubt.
So
I love it. I hope everybody is listening right now to what Klaus just said, and that is to own the entire relationship. You're a restaurant and a hospitality business. That's what you're supposed to be doing. I think we have gotten a little lazy in our somewhat old age here in the fast casual industry, going with these third-party marketplaces, because hey, they were easy, and they kind of induce you into signing up because of the mass amount of customers that they have there on those platforms. But I love your approach. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about something that's happening here in the States, and can you identify if this is going on there in Europe? And that is ghost kitchens, which is essentially, you guys are almost a ghost kitchen if you just shut that door. There at your gasoline. You'd pretty much be a ghost kitchen.
Yeah.
The thought of ghost kitchens working in Europe, do you feel like that's where people cannot come and dine? You're probably in not a major recognizable location, but you're still serving food online and through social media. Is that going on in Europe to any degree that you've noticed?
Yes, more or less. Not so much in Copenhagen. I know it's going on in the UK, and I have also had people contact me if we wanted to open up in the UK and start out as a ghost kitchen brand. But I don't think you can build a brand on a new market simply with a ghost kitchen strategy. I think we need to have a physical location. We are actually turning one of our locations more or less into a ghost kitchen, you could say.
Interesting. Okay.
and we were looking at it also maybe 3 years ago. We actually almost signed a location, and that was supposed to be a ghost kitchen, but then I thought, okay, we are not at that time we were not a delivery business, so
Right.
we're like, okay, let's just stick to what we're good at and keep doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Interesting. I'm kind of curious, when you look at the market there in Europe, some of the data that we've been able to glean out of there in some of our research is the mobile habits of Europeans, whether you're in Western Europe, the UK, Germany, Brussels, quite a few spots that we've seen a very large uptake in people using their mobile devices as really their primary ordering tool for getting food. Even though we do have that here in the U.S. quite a bit, but most of the time it's not necessarily to that level. We still have call-in. There's a lot of web-based applications out there that are utilized. Why is mobile so popular for use there in Europe?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it is super popular, I think, but I'm pretty sure it's the same also in the States. But obviously our what can you say? Our phone net is very well built out, and we have great connectivity everywhere, and 4G at least. So almost everybody have an iPhone. iPhone is like predominant here, and so yeah, I think maybe that's why. We have never had a phone number at Gasoline Grill, so you have never been able to call us.
Right.
And with our app, we are only focusing on the app. We are not focusing on web or phone or anything like that. So yeah,
so
I don't know
app-based marketing. Well, see, that's the point I'm getting at. Is there's a lot of concepts here in the U.S. though they may have apps. I mean, even if you look at someone like a Chipotle who has really kind of doubled down, they only recently did that. Really, in the last 2 to 3 years, they started evolving into more of a digital first type approach to engage the customer. They of course have their native app. They have a native delivery, even though they do mix in third party to kind of help with the flex in mainly at lunch, but most of the time they're doing their own delivery. So with mobile and the ability to communicate to guests better, we are seeing a dynamic shift in how these networks are creating, in essence, a whole new group of consumer networks instead of social media networks, to where brands have their mobile phone number of their guests. They have the ability to text them or send them updates in the app. Are you utilizing all of those types of tactics?
Yeah, we will be. At the moment right now, the app we're using is actually, it's just a white label app that we got up and running really quick when this whole thing happened in March. And now we're building our own native app, which will have a lot more possibilities for us also to communicate with the guests, because that's really what we want to be able to do. So yeah. Definitely.
Very cool. Let's talk about the menu and kind of where you guys are going with, building a better burger, being on the, in the top 30 there with Bloomberg. That's a pretty heavy statement. What do you think is the difference in the way you guys are making a burger there in Copenhagen and the way maybe it's being done down here in, say, Texas?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get a great burger in Texas as well. I mean, what we're doing is we're just making a burger the way it's supposed to be made. So we take beef every day and we grind it in-house at each location, and we hand form the patties. It's organic beef. And we do a smash burger. I mean, it's super fresh. When you eat at the Gasoline Grill, the burger is from within 12 hours or something like that, So, and everything, we have our own potato bun, my own recipe. That's also organic.
Okay.
Yeah. All our vegetables are organic. The cheese is organic. Everything. Our fries are crinkle cut organic fries from Danish potatoes. So it's just really, we're not trying to cut any corners anywhere. And I continuously hold on to not cutting corners, even when we're growing. So even when we're growing, we still consider each location as a small business unit, and that really makes it so much more easier to control, because we don't have a central kitchen or a commissary or something like that where we have to fit everything into a big production. So when you look at one location as one business unit, then it actually becomes really simple. It's a simple business to overlook.
Well, I like the fact that, in fast casual, that's what we do see is the winners are usually the ones that really stay true to their form in terms of their menu control. I mean, Chipotle has kind of been the flagship of our industry, kind of that whole movement toward really kind of farm to fast casual approaches of being able to understand and trace your sourcing and really understand what your supply network looks like. So I think for a brand your size, that's definitely something that's very cool. Last question for you, and this is more on the business side of how, because a lot of fast casual operators around the world right now, whether they're here in the U.S. or abroad, very, very many of them are faced with different kinds of regulations in different countries. I'm kind of curious there in Denmark, when you start a business, a restaurant business, talk to me about kind of the hurdles you have to go through. From my research at least, it seems like it's a very difficult process to get a business going there in Denmark.
Yes and no. I mean, there are, and especially in Copenhagen, it can be difficult because building in Copenhagen is really difficult. I heard it's also very difficult in New York, and I think it's probably kind of the same thing here. To get a building permit can take extremely long time, and you really have to. There's so much you have to put into it, and for a small business owner, it's a jungle. Also because it's difficult to have a dialogue because you can't really have a dialogue with the Copenhagen municipality. So that's definitely one thing. And then the next thing is, of course, food and health safety. It's not impossible by any means. There are some things, and most of them make sense. So I mean, it's fine. And then you just get your tax number. That's super easy. You can get that online, more or less. And then obviously, if you want funding or if you want some banks to help you, that's very difficult. They don't really invest in restaurants, even in Copenhagen. So. Yeah.
Do you guys have any venture funds that are focusing in on the restaurant space there? I mean, here in the U.S., there's probably there's a dime a dozen that are out there investing in fast casual event.
Yeah, many.
Well, that's good. That's good to know. You guys have some at least venture sourcing out there for potential growth businesses. So we'll wrap up. First of all, thanks for stopping in today. But what's the plan for Gasoline Grill going forward? Are you guys trying to get to big unit count, or is this more country?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much close to where we can be at in Copenhagen. We have concrete plans of opening 3 more in Q1 here in Copenhagen. 1 in Copenhagen Airport. So I'm looking really much forward to that. And obviously, and I'm thinking that model we can probably do all over the world. We have had interest from other airports as well. So we are looking into that. So 3 locations here in Copenhagen in Q1, and then we're looking to open up internationally. I would really love to open up in Las Vegas. So
there you go. Well, Vegas is it's a tough spot right now. I just talked to Ms.
Right
Blau.
now it's not.
Yeah, I talked to Ms. Blau out there. She is been a long-time Vegas restaurant operator and has many different concepts. Most of them are full service, and they live inside the hotels. But her statement, of course, was that Vegas is really going through some tough situations right now.
Yeah, definitely.
With which any touristic type location destination point is really struggling right now as we kind of get through this. But we'll get there. I know it's coming, hopefully on the other side of this. It's going to be interesting to see you jump into the United States. When you make it here, make sure and hit me up again. And
I will,
we'd
definitely.
love to maybe cover that. For sure. Klaus, it's been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for stopping in.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for a great show.
All right. Okay. So you guys are listening in over on Spotify, maybe on Amazon Music now, which Fast Casual Nation and many of our other podcasts are now available over there. And of course, over on Spotify, if you're in Europe, thank you, because that's where most of our European listening audience listens through, which is on Spotify. And of course, if you're checking this out on YouTube, make sure and subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell, because that's going to be the way that you get notified of great content here from Foodable Network. Sometimes notifications are a little hit and miss with YouTube, so make sure and do that. And of course, the number one thing you can do for Fast Casual Nation and myself is spread the word. Get this show out there to other people in the industry that maybe are starting in the restaurant business, or maybe they're an experienced restaurant operator and they're just looking to maybe look at fast casual as a new vehicle. We'd love to have you guys do that. And of course, you can always reach us at producer@foodabletv.com and hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on Fast Casual Nation.